Briefcase Crimes contains graphic depictions of violent acts, bad jokes, and loud dog noises. It's not intended for all audiences, and listener discretion is advised.
Welcome, listeners, to Briefcase Crimes.
I'm Hannah, and I'm full of terrifying facts about horrific events.
I'm Liz, and I'm full of morbid curiosity.
Elizabeth,
Yes, Hannah.
we are doing something different today.
Yes, very different.
First of all, you know what we're doing, which is very
Right.
different.
Well, I know what it is, but I don't know about it still.
I know, but still, this is more information than you normally have.
True. Normally, the first time I see the title is when we sit down.
Yes. So today we are going to be covering a missing persons case.
Mm-hmm.
This case is really important to me personally because it is a local case to me. Not local to you, but local to me.
But Pennsylvania still, local to my
yes.
home state.
Yes. And obviously, if it's important to me, it's important to you.
Of course.
So we are going to talk today about Fawn Marie Mountain.
All right. I'm excited.
Typically, the name that is on the slide is the killer.
Right.
And in this case, it's not. In this case, it is
Right.
It is the missing person. So it's new territory for us.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go to your first slide, we'll start here. So these are pictures of Fawn, like some recent ones. I'm part of a Facebook page where people post a lot of their personal pictures of her, but I took a lot of my photos from a local news, like the CBS affiliate. Did a story about this. I'll link it in the brief. They did a story about this, and so I pulled a lot of my photos from either their coverage or screenshotted their help me.
Their articles?
Video. They have an article and a video. So I took some screenshots from their video and I took the photos from their articles just because I didn't want to be using anybody's personal photos in this without permission.
Absolutely.
So I was trying to pull everything that is public.
Already publicly available.
Yes. Nothing that is personal. So we start out with Fawn. Fawn has been missing since 2012. First.
Wow.
Yes. So she was just recently listed as a missing person.
Recently? Like how recently?
2017. Or no, sorry, 2015.
Still, that's years after she disappeared.
I will get into that about why that happened and what sort of problems that has caused, right?
Yeah. Right.
So we'll start on the days close to when she went missing.
Okay.
So Fawn was originally from Altoona, Pennsylvania. That is very close to my hometown. That is also, I don't know if I'll leave this in here. That's where I live now.
Right.
But let me start this way. I became aware of this case mainly from friends sharing it on Facebook. Before I even begin, Fawn's cousin, who is kind of leading the charge on trying to find her, her cousin Bridget and I have known each other for a while. I worked with Bridget's husband Jimmy, and also Bridget and Jimmy were in my sister's wedding. So,
oh, wow.
So yeah, these are people that I've known for a while. People that, have been parts of big important events in my life. So just from the start here, this is kind of why I care. Not that I wouldn't care, but this is sort of part of my motivation of wanting to cover
Yeah,
this.
I mean, it's very close to home.
It is very close to home. And I really want to try to be as respectful as we can,
Right.
and to cover everything as accurately as we can and just get the word out, because it is my belief that in cases like this, there is somebody out there that saw something, that has something, that knows something that will help the case.
Well, just for comparison's sake, let's go back to Robert Durst, which is last week's episode. They had that letter that was sitting in a box for how many years? That was the piece of the puzzle that put that case together.
Yeah, and they didn't look into that until they made the documentary.
Exactly, which Scott and I just finished.
I was going to say, you just finished.
Yeah, Scott got super into it. I love when he gets super into it, but
I'm so glad.
I'm gonna say what I told you about.
Yes. So Liz, first of all, Liz told me that she and Scott were watching it, and I was like, you have to tell me, because obviously Liz hadn't seen it, but she knew the case from telling the story, and she had seen the ending because I had sent it to her for the episode. So I was like, you must tell me what Scott does when the ending happens.
And when the ending came up, I was like, turn up the volume. I'm like, trust me, like, pay attention, because he was like on his phone a little bit. So of course he says the line that ends the entire documentary, which is killed them all, of course. And so we're kind of like sitting there like, wow, this guy, there's something off about him, obviously. Like, this is just an insane case. And then I looked at Scott, and like, kind of for emphasis, I just looked at him and said, killed them all, of course. And he looks at me and he goes, yeah, like, he totally killed that interview. It's going to be the best documentary ever. Like, no.
Isn't it wild, though?
It is wild. And just his demeanor and like the way that they would like chase him down for these interviews, and then him lying about where he was. Like, every step of the way was just crazy. And it's obvious that he's participating, at least to me. I think it's obvious from a non-professional opinion. It seems to me like he's participating in these interviews to appease his own ego.
Yeah. So
it's just wild to see that, like... And you just know it's real. This isn't like it's not a fictional movie.
Yeah.
Like, this is a real case unfolding like in real time in front of you. It's absolutely bonkers.
And like I said in the episode, like, you can tell that he's on the autism spectrum. He's very, very socially strange.
He is. Yeah.
So there's that whole thing of like, he's killing people and then he's just like quietly confessing to himself.
Yeah.
Like, it's so weird to watch. It's unlike a Ted Bundy or whatever, who's like, I don't know, charming or like toxic, like,
he's unsettling.
He's very unsettling, but not just in a serial killer way.
Yeah, like the way that he had to go to his brother's house and just like stand on the sidewalk.
And like
it's so weird.
I do love that in his little confession thing at the end, he's like, and all the burping, like, he's like yelling at himself.
Which of course I knew that he said like that line, but like actually watching the full interview and seeing it, I would probably feel the same way.
Yes.
That's like the most normal, quote unquote, normal thing.
He's such a strange guy. I'm so glad you watched it though. Like,
oh, it was so good.
Yes. It is like it's the documentary visual equivalent of like a page turner.
I was really surprised that they didn't talk about his dog at all.
I know.
And
They
because
didn't discuss the dog stuff at all.
there was one scene where they showed bloody dog prints, but I think it was like not his dog. It was just like I think it was Suzanne's dog.
Yes, it was Susan's.
Susan, sorry.
Yes, her. She had multiple dogs, and that was what alerted the neighbors that she had been harmed. Was that the dogs were out, and they shouldn't have just been out roaming.
Right. So I was shocked that they didn't talk about his dog. So of course I had to tell Scott because I was like, they haven't mentioned the dog yet. And then he was like, what about the dog? I don't get it. Like, what about his dog? And I kept making him wait. Like, I didn't want to say it if they were going to touch on it later, but they never did.
They do show the wedding picture though of him and Kathy, and they're holding one of the dogs.
Yeah, but you know. Whatever.
And I know the dogs make an appearance in the Ryan Gosling, like the actual movie version.
Right. I have to wonder if maybe they were advised to leave that out because of the ongoing trial.
Could be.
Or if they just didn't feel like it was substantiated enough. Like the claims of him saying they Igored somebody. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't either.
Lots of questions.
But back to this case.
Yes.
Because that's how we ended up there.
Yeah, sorry.
I want to cover this case because I think that somebody has information or somebody has some physical piece of evidence that they could bring forward, and they might not even know that it's, would be helpful to the investigation.
Right.
Or they do. I don't know. But, they might not even know if they have it. Mm-hmm. So, Fawn went missing on the 25th of November, 2012.
Okay.
However, nobody really knew that she was missing.
How old was she at that point?
Let me get my notes. She would have been 25.
Okay. So
she was 25 years old,
on
yes.
her own.
So, at the time of her disappearance, she was living in Claysburg, Pennsylvania, which is a short distance from Altoona. Still decently far, but a short distance. And she was living with her girlfriend, Heather Dybert. Heather's parents owned a butcher shop. And the day before she went missing, they were getting the shop ready to be operational for hunting season, basically.
Okay.
It was Fawn, Heather's brother Mike, and Mike's girlfriend Stephanie Clare. They were at the butcher shop getting everything bleached down, sterilized, making sure everything was cleaned and ready to go for when people started bringing in deer to have butchered. If you're not somewhere that hunts, or you're not a hunter, because I know we have a lot of people that listen that aren't from, areas like this. Altoona is a city, but it's a very rural city, if that makes any sense. It's not huge, but it is the most metropolitan, I guess, in quotes, area in the surrounding areas.
It's not a city like skyscraper city. It's just a high population density area, basically.
Exactly. When I was growing up in Tyrone, Altoona was where you went to go to Walmart, or where you went, there's a mall. That was the kind of idea of, it is a city. So it's very rural. People hunt here. I grew up hunting. So if you kill a deer during hunting season, your options basically are to butcher it yourself. So to process the meat, and then you'll have the meat, or you can take it to a butcher shop, they will process that meat for you, and then you can even have it turned into like steaks or hamburger or like whatever,
Right.
sausages, jerky, etc. So it's not unusual for people to be going to butchers' shops during hunting season.
Yeah, that's what my family does. We don't process it ourselves.
Yeah. I mean, it depends. Sometimes our family processes it. Most of the time our family processes it ourselves. Sometimes, like if a couple different people get deer, they will like go in together to a butcher shop and get like all of it made in a hamburger, and then you'll like dole it out to everybody.
Right.
So once they had finished this butcher shop task, they went back to their house. Now, Heather's brother Mike and Stephanie lived next door to Heather and Fawn.
Okay.
They lived in a trailer park in Claysburg. So they were like right next to each other. You can like, the only reason I mention that is because like you can think about the distance between trailers in a trailer park. It wasn't like the houses were stuck together, but it wasn't like they were very far away either.
Yeah.
So they went home, they had some beer, they like hung out, and then before they parted ways, Heather went to Mike's house to help him bring something inside. Fawn was alone with Stephanie, and she said, you know, what are you going to do tonight? And she said, I'm going to go home and I'm going to watch some scary movies. And that was the last time anyone saw Fawn.
Wow.
The next day, Stephanie Clare says the next day that she woke up and came outside, and that Heather, her parents, and her brother were all outside like smoking cigarettes and hanging out. And Stephanie asked, where is Fawn? And Heather said, I woke up at 3:30 a.m. to go to the bathroom, and Fawn was gone. She had just left. And Stephanie thought it, like, immediately thought it was really weird that Fawn wasn't outside. That's why she asked. Because she said that it would have been, like, it was just weird for her to not be out with everybody. And then for her to just leave in the middle of the night was very strange. So the other situation here is that going back to Fawn's childhood, or her younger years, I guess, she had a relationship in her younger years with a person who was very abusive physically. And during this relationship, they had 2 children. And it got so bad, this abuse, that those children were taken away by social services. Yes. Later, Fawn had another daughter who was stillborn named Caden. And obviously, she was so upset by this, clearly, because it's her child, that she would keep Caden's ashes, her urn, like close by. That was always her MO. So like when she would leave these partners, because she had several partners before that were, you know, not great situations. When she would leave those people, she would always, one of the first things that she would take is Caden's urn, because that's her child. Caden's urn was left behind at Heather's, as were all of her clothes. All of her things were still there. Quick correction, Caden was actually Fawn's first child, not her third child. So for her to leave in the middle of Pennsylvania winter with no clothing and without this very important thing that she always keeps close to her, like this very important emotional item, that's very odd.
Was her coat missing also, or did she take her coat?
I'm not sure, but okay. I would venture to guess her coat was still there.
Okay.
I mean, obviously I know more about the situation than we've gotten into yet, but I would say her coat was probably still there. Shortly after this, friends and family and stuff noticed that Heather is being like really calm, and that's really strange.
Mm-hmm.
They had been together for 6 years, you know, and her girlfriend just gets up in the middle of the night and leaves, and she's just calm.
I mean, I have panicked waking up in the middle of the night and Scott is like in the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because you worry. You're like, oh, are they not feeling well? You know, did they get a bad phone call? Like, you don't know. Like, it would be concerning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And for her to just disappear without saying a word to you after 6 years?
Yeah.
And you're just calm?
Yeah, that's not right.
A week after she went missing, Heather's father completely remodeled Heather and Fawn's trailer.
That's very suspicious.
When I say completely remodeled, I mean they took out carpeting, put in all new floors, everything. Took everything out, put everything new in. And then Heather moved to Ohio.
Oh my. Like, so did they sell the trailer or did she take the trailer to Ohio?
I'm not sure. So let's talk more about Heather and Fawn and their relationship.
Yeah.
In 2009, there was, not just in 2009. So there was a nightclub in Altoona. Mm-hmm. It was called The Island. I have never been, and when I say nightclub, this is Altoona. It's not like,
it's a bar.
Yeah, basically. But it's the closest thing to a nightclub that we have, basically. Mm-hmm. I remember the Island used to have, I think on Wednesdays, they would have like 18 and under like things where people could go and dance.
Mm-hmm.
And I had never gone. I had never participated because it's just not my scene. But I remember there was a lot of people I went to high school with and like worked at the park with who would talk about like, oh yeah, we went to the Island because you can get in because it's under 18 night, so there's no alcohol, just dancing.
Right.
And it was like a meetup spot. But that is where Heather and Fawn first met. Oh, geez. And the burping. If you go to your next slide, this is Heather, and this is Heather and Fawn.
Okay.
I'm not even sure that might be the Island. I don't know well enough to know if that is the Island or not. That's in that picture. Mm-hmm. The Island actually burned down.
Oh.
So there is no more Island, but the Island was there. And in 2009, mm-hmm. that's where they met. Heather had been with women before. Fawn had never dated a woman in the past. But
wait, hold on. You said they were together for like 6 years?
I think so, yeah. But I don't know if that
math
doesn't work out.
Yeah, that's bad math.
I mean, that's not my bad math then. That's the articles I've read have bad math.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it says they met in 2009. She went missing in 2012. But something later says they've been together for 6 years.
Well, if she hadn't been declared missing until 15, that's probably the math that they're using.
Could be. So Heather had been with women before. Fawn had not. However, everybody close to them said that they were like instantly attracted to each other, instantly had a connection, mm-hmm. which happens. And also, like, I think happens a lot more in LGBT couples.
Yeah.
The relationships move much quicker. So that's not unusual. But shortly after they had met, Heather asked Fawn to move to Claysburg and be with her.
Okay.
Live with her. Family and friends were kind of concerned because Fawn was very dependent on family.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't have a car. She didn't drive. She would have family members take her where she needed to go. And as far as I know, she also didn't work.
Oh.
So she had friends and family, like, around her that were willing to help her with these things. So obviously, friends and family are like, you're going to move to Claysburg with this person. And, you know.
It's like, we can't help you from there.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was trying to articulate. I just can't, like.
I got you.
Think. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's going to be harder for us to help you if something does go wrong, especially because, like, she had been in the past in these relationships that were not good.
Right.
So just, you know, urging caution. But regardless, she moved, and she had told her mother, Dorothy, she had said, Heather asked me to move to Claysburg with her, and I'm afraid if I go to Claysburg that I'm never going to come back to Altoona. And it was not, I don't know if her thought was something bad is going to happen. But, you know, I had that same thought. I'm sure you have, as somebody who's moved away from their home, their hometown. You know, I'll move for now, but are we ever going to move back? Is this person ever going to want to move closer to my family?
Right.
For context, because I don't go to Claysburg, like, ever. Let me double check for reference how far away Claysburg is from Altoona. Because in my mind, Claysburg is, like, far, not too far, but far away. Being from Tyrone, it is. So, like, my brain is skewed. Okay, so it's about 25 minutes away.
Okay,
so
that's not bad.
Not terrible, especially Liz and I have discussed this before. When you're from a smaller place, distance is, and, like, time to travel for things is changed in your head.
Yeah.
So I remember when Liz was living in Pittsburgh, if I was like, oh, something is 30 minutes away, like, let's go somewhere, it's only 30 minutes away, Liz would be like, 30 minutes away, because in Pittsburgh, it doesn't take you 30 minutes to get.
Only if there's traffic.
Only if there's traffic. So, like, let's go to the closest Walmart is 25 minutes away. That's nothing if you're from somewhere rural, but if you're from an urban environment, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So 25 minutes is a lot, but it's not an hour, you know?
No.
But just, again, for context, because not only do I not have the best, like, grasp on how far things are from things because of living all over, but, you know, we have people that aren't from the area that listen. So she moved 25 minutes away. The other thing that concerned family and friends was that Heather was very temperamental, I guess we'll say. She was temperamental, and that her relationship with Fawn was possessive.
Okay.
Like, I don't know if they saw it as abusive at first, but I think they definitely felt, as time went on, that this was definitely abuse.
Yeah, and that's one of those things too where, like, perceptions of abuse, like, changes with age, right? Like, when you're in high school, like your boyfriend being possessive is like, oh my God, it's so hot. Like he must really like me. But like at the age we're at now, if we know somebody whose partner is being possessive, we're like, girl, leave. Like that is not healthy.
Yeah.
You know?
So not only was she possessive, but it got to the point where Heather would go to work, and sometimes she would bring Fawn with her. She would have Fawn sit and like hang out in the car all day.
What?
While she was at work.
Also, I do just want to go back because I realize what I said might have sounded very victim blamey, and that's not at all what I mean. I mean that it would be more of a red flag to the people around her.
Yes.
Because I know that when people are in an abusive situation, it's very difficult to see and it can be very difficult to leave. So I just want to go back and address that because we don't victim blame here.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. Yeah. I knew what you meant, but I appreciate
I know, but I just wanted to be extremely clear. I don't want it to be misconstrued at all.
Yeah.
But anyway, having her sit in the car all day, that's not cool. That's not great.
Well, even worse, when she didn't come and sit in the car all day, she would put a padlock on the front and back door of the trailer.
No.
So that she couldn't leave the house, which also, like, aside from that being abuse, like, you can't hold someone against their will. That's just, like, dangerous.
It's extremely dangerous.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just crazy. You never know if something like a fire or carbon monoxide, like, you don't know. Like, that is so dangerous.
I don't think that's what she was thinking about, but yeah.
No, I'm certain that that's not what she was thinking about, but...
She also, every call that would go into the house would be forwarded to Heather's cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
So Fawn is, at this point, being locked in her home, unable to even get phone calls.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah. And also, on the topic of people in abusive relationships, Fawn had been in the cycle of abuse.
Yeah, and it's so hard to break that cycle.
Yeah, and so especially when you're in that cycle, it makes it hard to see things correctly.
Right.
And so, like, my friend Bridget, who is Fawn's cousin, she is quoted in this article. She said, quote, "She didn't see it as controlling. She saw it as, she cares about me. She wants to protect me." And that's exactly right. Like, that is exactly how it is that your view of what is healthy and what is not gets completely skewed when that is all you know.
Absolutely. Oh, that's just heartbreaking.
I know this whole story is heartbreaking. Like, this whole story is just an absolute tragedy.
Yeah. And it's so easy. It's so easy. I know I'm kind of jumping to conclusions saying something like this, but it's so easy for outsiders to say, well, if it was so bad, like, she should have just left. Mm-hmm. And it's like, or, you know, she should have known if she's been in abusive relationships before. But it's like, a person who's damaged, who ends up in these relationships, it's because they are seen by the abuser as an easy target.
Yeah.
You know, like it's
this
not
is somebody
their
I can
fault.
Control.
Yeah, it's like it's not their fault that they have become a victim to that cycle. Mm-hmm. They're being preyed upon.
Yeah, exactly. And as you can tell, that first picture of Heather, like, that's not a family photo. That's clearly a mugshot.
Right.
Heather had been in trouble with the law before. Heather had had 6 different protection from abuse orders brought up against her from different girlfriends. That's a lot.
And PFAs are not easy to get.
Yeah, remember that. There's a whole this is going to be a whole thing later.
like, there is a whole broken system around women and other victims of domestic abuse having hardship being protected from their abusers. The
Mm-hmm.
system does not make it easy to get protection orders, like, at all.
Mm-mm.
Women and other victims of domestic violence die every single day against people that they tried to get PFAs from that they could not get.
Exactly. This is absolutely a story of
A
a
failed
woman.
system.
This is, yeah, we'll get into this even more later.
Yeah.
Real quick, just because I'm looking at the slides.
Sure.
Your next slide, and I can write who all these people are for you later. Your next slide.
I'll go back and get Heather in a minute, but okay, go.
This is Stephanie Clare. This is her in the interview with WTAJ. Clare with an L, but that is how you spell it, with two R's.
Two R's?
Yeah, but that is it. So this is Stephanie Clare. She is interviewed by WTAJ. She was Heather's brother Mike. This was his girlfriend at the time, and they were also neighbors. She was very good friends with Fawn.
Okay.
She is actually one of the people who went to the police when they realized she was missing. The next picture is Fawn's brother, Alan. He's also interviewed by WTAJ. He says that, Fawn got along with everybody. She was very outgoing, and that they had a very good relationship. He said, we had our ups and downs, obviously, because they're siblings.
Sure. Yeah.
She was a good sister to him.
Yeah.
Is what
I mean,
he says.
I would even say that about my brother, that we've had our ups and downs, and he's one of my best friends.
Yeah. Like,
so,
family is family. And that is how it was. So, like, this family, before anybody judges anybody in this story, obviously family has their ups and downs. Mm-hmm. But you can really tell this is very central Pennsylvania family. They had the ups and downs. They fell out of touch or got back into touch with people, but they clearly care about their family. They are willing to do whatever it takes to be with their family. And then the next photo.
Okay.
This is Bridget. This is my friend Bridget. Okay. And her last name is Gill. 2 T's and an E at the end.
Wait, 2 T's and an E?
At the end of her name, Bridget.
Oh.
Sorry, and then Gill.
I thought you meant Gill had 2 T's and an E. I'm like, did I miss something? Was it guilty?
Guilty.
Okay. Sorry.
She is not guilty. She's wonderful.
Right.
So Bridget is really one of the people who's really leading the charge on finding Fawn, which is why I wanted to include her here. This is one of the only pictures that was not from a public source, because I wanted like a picture that was her face on.
Yeah.
This is from her Facebook. Sorry, Bridget, but it's a good picture of you. You look great. I know she's listening, because we're gonna send this to her. We're gonna send this to her to make sure that everything is kosher and that we have the family's blessing to post this.
Absolutely.
Where am I at? Okay, so Fawn had run away from Heather many times before.
Oh man.
She would at first she would go and visit her family, and excuse me, this is from directly from the interview with Fawn's mother that the WTAJ station did. But Fawn's mother, Dorothy, said that she came home and she had a hoodie on and the hood was up. Mm-hmm. And so Dorothy asked her to take the hood off.
Sure.
And she said she winds up and takes her hood down real slow. And she said, Heather choked me out.
Oh my goodness.
She said, Heather came back from the bar one night and she was drunker than a skunk. She wound up covering my hands and my feet and sat on me and took a rope to my neck. She had rope marks coming clear around her neck.
Oh, God.
Stephanie Clare says that she had gone to the emergency room so often that she had to start going to different hospitals because the emergency room was asking questions.
Yeah.
Which is easy here. There are several hospitals close by, so it's not totally hard to go to a different hospital.
I feel like that would be completely impossible to do in Pittsburgh because there's only 2 hospital systems.
Yeah, exactly.
And so your records would be there no matter what.
Yeah. No, here she was from Claysburg, which is near East Freedom. She probably would go to Nason. And then once Nason started asking questions, she could go to UPMC Altoona. And then if it was really bad, she could go to Tyrone. That you have options to do.
Wow.
But
that poor girl.
Yeah. So obviously, she had left Heather several times. She would talk to Stephanie and she would say, I need a ride to my mom's house. She would take Caden's urn, she would take her things, and she would go to Dorothy's house. And every single time, even if it was the middle of the night, Heather would show up and she would bang on everybody's door. Where is Fawn? Do you have Fawn? She would hunt her down. So it was really, really weird that when Fawn just up and disappeared in the middle of the night,
she didn't come knocking.
Yeah, she was totally calm, cool, and collected. Even though every other time, there she had been. But since we're talking about her cycle of abuse here, she would go back because that's how it happens. And basically, I said about Mike and Stephanie's trailer being alongside of Fawn and Heather's. Stephanie's bedroom window was right across from the kitchen window at Fawn and Heather's house. We just got to follow her on Instagram. Hello, Patricia.
Nice.
So they would sit, Stephanie and Fawn would sit and talk between those windows in secret. They would do that like when Heather wasn't home or when people weren't around. Heather would have her mother come by and check up on Fawn while she was gone.
Can you? Oh my gosh. That just blows my mind. Like, I cannot imagine abusing someone and then asking my mother to make sure.
And your mother doing it? Yeah.
Yeah. My mom would beat my butt. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. I don't.
That's. Ugh.
Yeah. Talk about the. We always talk about parents that stand by their, like, serial killer children. There's a different level of that, basically.
That just makes my skin crawl. But that also goes to show, clearly this system of abuse started in the home and Heather's home. Like, this wasn't something that started with her. And that's the other thing. The cycle of abuse also affects the abuser. You know, a lot of, I don't know, I'm not a professional, but in my limited understanding, people who are abused go on to abuse.
I don't know anything about Heather's home life.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not relevant anyway.
It's not. She would have her mother come by, check and make sure, I don't know, Fawn was still inside.
Yeah.
She's padlocked in. And
crazy.
So her mother reported back, you know, that she's having these chit-chats with honestly, like, she's talking to your brother's girlfriend who she works with. Like, they all worked at the butcher shop. So why is this a problem? It shouldn't be a problem.
Right.
Stephanie says that she felt like she didn't have anybody to talk to. She being Fawn. Felt like she didn't have anybody to talk to. And that she would say to her, like, someday she would say, I feel like I'm going to get out of this. Like, I'm going to get out of this relationship, this situation I found myself in. And then other days she would say, I feel like there's nothing I can do. Which makes total sense. Like, you would absolutely feel both ways.
Right.
So
it just depends on the day and what happened.
Yeah. She's completely isolated. And when her mom sees this is going on and reports back, they board up the window.
Oh my goodness.
Like,
wow.
They make it so they cannot even have this discussion.
Wow.
So now she can't talk to anybody outside of Heather's earshot. And then, in 2011, Dorothy, Fawn's mother, receives mail stating that a PFA has been taken out against her by Fawn.
I'm sorry, what?
Yes. A PFA, Protection from Abuse order, was taken out against Dorothy by Fawn.
Oh my God. Wow.
And clearly, everybody who knows her says that was absolutely coerced or forced into action. Because, because that Dorothy was Fawn's person, like her safety person. Every single time she would leave Heather, that's where she would go.
Yeah.
So
just as a reminder, one of the largest symptoms or side effects or effects of abuse is isolation.
Mm-hmm.
So there's...
Or tactics.
Yeah, tactics. Thank you. That's the better word. So we have her isolated in the home, no phone, I'm presuming no internet, no contact to the outside world at all.
And she has no car, doesn't drive, no job other than the butcher shop.
And now she legally cannot see her mother.
Exactly. And let me find exactly in my notes where I have this.
I'd lose my crap.
Yeah.
Like, strictly hypothetical, but like, because like Scott is not like this, but like if Scott made me legally not able to talk to my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think, I mean, I love my mom. She's listening because she listens to all of our episodes. But it even sounds like Fawn was closer to her mom than I am to mine. And I love my mom. And I think I'm very close with my mom. Like, that would be horrible.
They say, the people that knew her said that, like, she and her mom would fight. She and her mom would have tiffs and spats. But, you know.
It's family.
It's family. And clearly, like I said, Dorothy was Fawn's person, her safety person.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find it. I thought I had it written down, but I don't see it.
It just makes me so upset for her.
Yeah. And can you imagine the feeling of, like...
Sorry, I punched my mic.
It's okay. The feeling of, like, my child has just out of nowhere, because, like, obviously they don't let somebody who's legitimately having a PFA brought up against them, they don't just say well, I mean, they don't just say, like, hey, you're about to have a PFA brought up against you.
Yeah.
It just happens.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's the whole point, because if they're being given correctly, that's a part of protecting you from that person.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, hey, now you're not allowed to see this person. I can't find it. Oh, wait, here it is. Whoop, no, I lied. That's not it.
Can you paraphrase it?
Basically, I just wanted to double check and make sure that it was 100% accurate. But I believe at some point that what I think happened, if I remember this incorrectly, Bridget, let me know and I'll cut this out. But I believe that Fawn actually went to Dorothy again after the PFA, and that Dorothy went to Fawn, and that Dorothy was arrested for that.
Yeah.
Because it was violating the PFA. Like, it has happened now.
I mean, clearly Dorothy knew that there was a problem happening. So I think it would make sense if she tried to contact her.
She did.
You know? This was not granted legitimately.
No, it wasn't. And, like, but that's what I mean, is that she went so far as to, like...
break it.
Yeah, to, like, get legal repercussions turned against her because, like...
Because she loves her daughter.
Yeah, so what she would do then, because she had this PFA, she would call the police, Dorothy would, call the police and ask for welfare checks.
Okay.
According to Pennsylvania State Troopy, that's what I almost said, Pennsylvania State Trooper Christopher Fox, the last report that they have where the police made contact with her and it's documented that they physically saw her was in November of 2012.
Okay.
Was the last time the police even saw her.
I'm thinking, though, like, were these welfare checks, was not a single one of them when Heather was at work and Fawn was literally padlocked in?
I'm not sure. But the police were also being called out for domestic violence calls. Like, the police, Stephanie Clare said the police were there so, quote, so many times.
This is exactly why we need more social workers that are in, you know, functioning with the state, with the police, and paid better.
So, this brings us back to the 26th. Okay. November 26th, when Stephanie Clare doesn't see Fawn, asks where is she, and Heather says she got up and she wasn't there.
Yeah. She
said she didn't take anything. The urn was still there. What the heck happened? She didn't take, according to her quote here, she didn't take any of her clothes. And she didn't talk to any of her family. I had asked Bridget if there was anything that she really wanted me to make sure was in this episode. And her main point that she would like to have made is that Fawn would never just bail on her family.
Yeah.
And not talk to them.
Right.
It has been since 2012, so almost 10 years. And not a single one of her family members has heard from her. None of them.
Yeah.
So, I had said Heather moved to Ohio. 2 months later, she moved back to Central PA. With another girlfriend. And
that poor girl.
Well, that poor girl is now Heather's wife.
Oh my goodness.
They are officially married. Everybody obviously has asked Heather, what is up? Where is she? Do you know where she is?
Yeah.
And she has told everybody a different story.
Also, just to backtrack, like a quick hot second, if my partner just up and went missing, I would not have a new partner in under 3 months.
Yeah.
Like, are you serious?
I have just been, like, broken up with and not had another partner for years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's beyond just disappearing.
Yeah, but at that point, like, in my heart, if my partner genuinely went missing, in my heart, we're still together.
Yeah.
Like, yes, mysterious, whatever, I don't know where they are. I'm not on the market. Are you kidding?
Yeah. So Heather would tell people, these are among the things. This is not every single thing that she has said.
Right.
She has claimed that Fawn is in prison in Ohio, or was in prison in Ohio. She claims that the prison called her and said, like, can we release her to your house? And she told them absolutely not. She told them that Fawn went to New York and is now a prostitute in New York.
Oh, goodness.
She has told people she told people that Fawn was supposedly in Arizona at a certain point of time.
Okay.
And now we get into why she was not listed officially as missing until 2015.
Okay.
So at first, Stephanie Clare and Fawn's mother, Dorothy, went to the Greenfield Township Police, which would be their local police in Claysburg. And they said, something is wrong. She is gone. She would not just leave.
Right.
Greenfield Township basically said, she's an adult. She's not missing. She just ran away. She's an adult. Okay. And according to people that are closer to the family than I am, the police department treated Dorothy like she was stupid.
I believe it.
And they just, like, blew it off entirely.
I completely believe that. Because, I mean, if they hadn't just blown her off entirely, then they would have reported her missing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the state police couldn't look into it because they weren't invited to look into it by the township police.
Ugh, ridiculous.
Okay, yes. So, first of all, in this, it does say Fawn had run away from Heather and gone to Dorothy. I knew this is where I read that. And then, yes, Dorothy was arrested and put in jail. And that was in October of 2012.
So, a few weeks, maybe, after she disappeared?
That would have been before.
Wait, no, I'm sorry. She disappeared in November. So, a few weeks before.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. How about that bad math now?
That's okay. Reverse bad math.
Yeah.
So Dorothy and Stephanie got in touch with Greenfield Police. They talked to them repeatedly. They treated...
Kudos to Stephanie.
Yeah.
Though.
Well, remember, Stephanie was... Well, first of all, double kudos to Stephanie because Stephanie was, like, technically part of the Dybert family. She was dating Mike. So,
right.
But beyond that, she was also Fawn's friend and felt like something was weird that was going on here.
It would have been really easy for her to not do anything, though. And of course, you know, we don't have all of the information. People who are closer might feel differently, but from this perspective, I'm glad that she did something.
Yeah. So they would call Greenfield Township, and sometimes they would not even return their calls.
Yeah, that doesn't shock me at all.
And like I said, their whole thing was, well, she's an adult. If she wants to leave, she can leave. The reason that she was officially listed as missing in March of 2015 is because the Social Security office tried to get in touch with Fawn to do something renewing her benefits, and they couldn't get in touch with her.
This is so infuriating.
Yeah.
That's just so upsetting. And then imagine if she didn't have that benefit and didn't need that renewal.
It would have just been completely brushed aside entirely.
Yeah.
So
jeez.
Things really start picking up in May of 2017.
Okay.
Now, when Bridget was 16 years old, she had her first child. Very young.
Okay. Yeah.
And obviously that's a very, like, hard thing to have to deal with. So at that time, she grew incredibly close to Fawn, and Fawn really helped out with raising helping Bridget raise her child.
Mm-hmm.
As most people know with family, you're not always super duper close to your cousins.
Right.
Even if you have moments or periods of time where you are close, you know, you get married and you have your family and you're dealing with all of that, and maybe you're in a, like, Bridget and her family don't live in Altoona anymore.
Right.
All of that. So it's harder to keep in contact. So she hadn't really talked to Fawn since I believe around like 2008.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just happens.
Yeah.
And then in May of 2017, one of her extended family members talked to her, Bridget, and said Fawn has been listed as missing.
Okay.
So Bridget is not the kind of person to just like sit around and twiddle her thumbs. For context,
yeah.
And this is praise I would give her even if she wasn't like my actual friend. For context, Tyrone has a feral cat problem. It's just part of Tyrone.
I just is not what I expected.
Yeah. Well, a couple years ago, there were a lot of people from town going to like the city, it's not the city council, but like the borough council or whatever, and proposing like, we need to do something about all these cats. We need to deal with all these cats. Bridget started an organization that takes in these cats and finds homes for them.
Wow.
Yeah. Let me actually plug that while we're here, because if you're in the area, I know we have some listeners that are from here, and if you're someone who's listening to this because of being interested in the case, because you're from here, and maybe you don't know about this, but you're in the market for an animal.
Yeah.
It is called,
to rescue a fur baby.
Yeah, it is called Perfect Paws and Pals of Tyrone.
Cute.
She is always posting pictures of cats that need homes, and they just look so sweet. If we didn't have Hazel, who is absolutely a one animal home dog, we would have a cat from them for sure. So if you're in the area, Perfect Paws and Pals of Tyrone, and that is a Bridget is involved with that organization. I believe she started it, but that might not be right, but I think she did. But she is the kind of person who is like, oh, there's people in need. Oh, there's a problem. How can I do this? How can I fix this?
She's a helper.
She is a helper. She is truly a wonderful, wonderful person.
As Mr. Rogers would say, a helper.
She is a helper. Look for the helpers.
Look to the helpers.
Find your Bridget. Bridget, in 2017, started just calling the police department.
Good.
And saying, what the heck is going on? Why is nobody looking into this? It's been 2 years since she was declared missing. What do you know? She was told by
what do you know? What have you done?
Yeah.
Like,
she was told by Greenfield Township Police that the officer who was in charge of the case had left the department.
And so who's the new officer?
That's exactly what she asked. And she was told no one.
Great.
So
real good quality work.
So luckily, the person that she had gotten in touch with was confused. Not luckily he was confused, but luckily he was like, I don't know how this happened. Come in. We're going to have a meeting. Let me take all the information that you have. Names and contact information, everything. Because Bridget was investigating this herself, basically.
Yeah.
And...
Which is also so dangerous. Like, nobody
it's incredibly dangerous.
Like, you should not have civilians doing that kind of work. Like, you should have, hypothetically, in a perfect world, an actually efficient task force to handle these situations.
Yes. So, after that meeting and tons of phone calls and all of that, a couple weeks later, Greenfield Police finally gave this case to the Pennsylvania State Police.
Finally.
after 5 years of her being gone.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So the strange thing is, or one of the strange things is, all of these stories that Heather tells about her being just gone, or in Arizona or in New York or in Johnstown or Ohio or wherever,
right.
there has been no activity from Fawn since 2012.
Right.
And in 2021, the year that we are in, you cannot do anything. You cannot live on the planet without making a footprint somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, she would have something. There's been no activity on any of her cards. She hasn't renewed her, like, ID card, her driver's license stuff. She didn't have a driver's license, but you know what I mean, her identification. Nothing on her bank account, nothing. No interaction with anybody. If she was doing some of the illegal things that Heather claims that she's doing, she's had no interactions, she's had no arrests, none of that. The police have looked into the databases in all of the places that Heather has claimed that she is: Arizona, New York, Ohio, all of those places. Nothing, none of that. Obviously, I don't have.
To actually disappear like that, you would have to have a new identity.
Yeah, and why would she do that?
I mean, the only reason I can figure is to get away, cut clean from the abusive situation, but the other pieces of the puzzle don't add up for that.
Because, like Bridget said, she would not, even just to get away from Heather, cut off her entire family.
Right.
That just would not happen.
No.
And
No.
I'm not even like, I never met Fawn. I don't know Fawn personally, but I know that I don't think anybody would do that.
Mm-mm. I think you would at least let your mother know that you're okay.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the other thing. So, the family had talked to Heather and said at times, like, at one point, Fawn's stepfather was in the hospital and was dying. And so they said to Heather, like, hey, do you know where Fawn is? Because, like, she needs to be here. She would want to be here for this. This is her dad. Like,
yeah.
And her brother Alan has said, like, I want to know where she is. I need to let her know that, like, her dad is gone and that her mom isn't doing well, and, like, she would want to know that.
Yeah. There's
not a doubt in anyone's mind of that. Now that the state police are in charge, the case is very, very active.
Well, that's
good. And it is very concurrent. It's happening as we speak.
It's such a shame, though, that they lost so many years.
Yeah.
Like, any evidence that is no longer available because of people moving and renovating and all that stuff, just gone.
Exactly. Like I said, a week later, the carpet was gone.
Yeah.
All of that was gone.
Absolutely crazy. So
I don't have a lot of information I can give about what is going on with the case now, as it is an active investigation. And this is a reminder that if anybody is listening who has something that they know or has something that they want to bring up to somebody they think could help, do not, don't post it publicly. Don't go looking for things yourself. There's a lot of talk. So there's a Facebook page for this, like I said.
Yeah.
And there's always a lot of talk on there about, like, going out and doing a search party or going out and investigating this or talking to this person or doing this stuff. And it's like, just a reminder, do not do that.
Yeah.
That is only going to hinder the case. So
right, you could potentially tamper with something.
yeah, or find something that would help the investigation, but they can't use it, that kind of thing. So
Exactly.
if there is something that I will give information here now that actually works really well. If you go to your next slide,
Yes.
if you want to help, and you're maybe not in the neighborhood, you're one of our listeners from somewhere else, there's a couple different ways that you can help. Number one, Liz is seeing them on the screen right now, but I will put a link in the description and in the brief. There's a couple local people who are putting together different shirts, and there's also, I think, stickers. The push to find her uses the hashtag Bring Fawn Marie Home. So you can buy a shirt that has Bring Fawn Marie Home. You can buy a shirt that has her missing poster on it, or her face and the missing with the phone number you can call. Or there's an Amazon link. There's a wish list that I'll include if you're not in the area but you want to help. There is a group of people that are putting together flyers, and they always need things that are on this list. So it's like ink and paper and that kind of thing. You can purchase those through Amazon, and it will send it directly to them. So all of the shirts and things are not just for awareness, but all of the proceeds for those go to that sort of this organization to help find her. And then the other thing that you can do on the next slide here, this is her official missing poster. So there is currently a $10,000 reward. This is like brand new as of like last week. $10,000 reward for any information that solves where she has gone. So if you're local and you have information, this should not be the motivation you need, but there is now a reward for this. But like I said, a lot of our listeners are not local, but if you're local, if you're not local and you want to help, you can help monetarily by either donating supplies or donating your money through buying a shirt. And also if you're local and you want to buy a shirt, they have a local pickup option as well that you can mark upon purchase.
Then
go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say also for anyone who is listening but may not have quick access to the brief, that tip number is, let me see here, it's 1-800-4PA, the number 4, PA tips. That's 1-800-48, wait, no. What is
That's 1-800-48477.
Isn't that missing a digit?
No? Maybe. Oh, maybe that's where you text it. However, you can either call the tip line, 1-800-4PA-TIPS, or you can call 814-696-6100 and speak to Trooper Martini, who is in charge of this case. Also, I will read her description in case anyone wants to keep an eye out for her. Fawn also goes by the nickname Bambi or Fawn Marie, so she could be using those names if she is out there somewhere. She would now be 33 years old. She was 5'2" and 105 pounds. She's blue eyes and brown hair, which she dyes auburn. She has a large tattoo on her back that is angel wings with the words R.I.P. Caden. And there are photos of her in the brief. And you can see those on our social media as well. Another thing you can do to help, a lot of people are making her missing poster their picture on social media or their cover photo on social media, if that's something that you want to do as sort of a way to get the word out. I know that when you're not in the area, you can sometimes feel like there's nothing that you can do, but honestly, we're not monetizing this episode. There's no money being made from this that's going to us. So if you want to share this episode and just get the word out, because that's our motivation here, is this is a case that needs to be solved. This is a case that is so, I just feel it is so close to being solved. It just needs one more person to come forward and say something.
Right. And I mean, it could even be the case of, if you know something, you know, it's just been so long since you've seen her that it's in the back of your head, and, you know, there's no shame in having forgotten something that you're only just now remembering. You know, any little bit of information is great.
That might not even be you. That might be somebody else has the same situation where they just haven't seen her.
Yeah.
I
mean, she was isolated.
Yeah.
She was intentionally separated from the people who cared about her. So it's not out of the ordinary for her to maybe have dropped off of your radar. But if you know something, you know, now's the time.
It is really, really heartening, I guess, the community that has risen up around this case. Like I said, there's a Facebook page, so I see all of the people that are putting out photos of her and talking about their experiences with her and what a wonderful person she was. There are people I see every day, people putting up flyers and laminating flyers and providing support in all different ways. I know that there are several local takeout, like pizza shops and stuff, that are including a flyer with every order. So you get a pizza and there is a picture of her. Somebody is going to know something. So having just the information shared is incredible. And like I said, there will be links in the description if you want to buy a shirt or a sticker or anything like that. If that's not your jam, but you want to help somewhere else, I'll put the Amazon link. You can help to buy, you know, ink and paper and tape and everything that they need to make flyers. Or even just share this episode. We'll put the missing poster on our Facebook page. You can share that from there if you'd like that as well. That costs you absolutely nothing to share the poster or share this episode, just to get the word out. And like I said, we're not making any money from this. This isn't something that we're like, share this because it gives us, I don't know.
No.
What, even 10
You'll
cents?
notice there's no ad. There's no ad on this episode. There's no money coming in.
This is an absolutely crucial thing to get the word out for people.
Yeah.
Like I said, somebody knows something.
We need to capitalize on the fact that this case is actively being investigated right now. We can't wait for it to go cold for this information that might be critical to get to the authorities. Yeah.
That phone number, like, it leads you directly to an ear that wants to listen. Like, this isn't just like, exactly. It's not a cold case. There's somebody here that is investigating the case and wants tips. So if you have literally anything, ma'am.
Sorry, UPS must be here.
Rude.
I know, very bad timing.
So that is the case. I don't think I have anything else. I think that's all I have. Yeah. So, like I said, ways you can help will all be in the description. They'll be in the brief.
It'll be on our social media.
Yeah. Please, please, please get the word out. If like I said, if you're not in the area, the best thing you can do is share. The easiest thing you can do is share things. Do you want to talk about reading and recommending?
Yeah, this was just tough.
It is tough. It's hard because it's happening now and it's worrying, and it's happening to. It's hard. I think it's hard because it's happening to people I know.
Yeah,
like it's people I know are hurting.
Yeah.
But you know, there's this. The Facebook group has grown exponentially. There's almost 4,000 members on it right now.
I'm going to have to join it. You'll have to send me an invitation to it.
Yes. and I'll do that right now because I have it up.
Awesome.
It has grown to almost 4,000 members, and it, like I said, it was covered on the news. Like, I'll include the link if you want to watch their full coverage of it. They have there's an article and a video to watch if you'd like to. And the other thing is another way you can spread the word is to use the hashtag Bring Fawn Marie Home.
Yes.
With your posts about it, just so that people are using it and getting the word. The whole point is getting the word out.
Right.
In fact, that'll probably be our title for this one, I imagine.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. All right. Would you like to transition to what we're reading?
Yes.
Okay. I will go ahead and go first.
Yes, sorry. I was talking to Bridget.
No, it's okay. Everyone's going to be so proud of me because I actually finished a book. I can hear the
finished a book
in my head. I finished a book.
I knew you started a book. I didn't know you finished it.
Well, I was listening to it at work, and it was only like 6 hours. So between yesterday and today, I just zoomed right through it at work.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. It's my first full read of 2021, halfway through February. But what I read was Over the Top, A Raw Journey to Self-Love by Jonathan Van Ness.
Aww, I love him.
I love him even more now.
Oh yeah?
I mean, it's about his life from literally like age 4 to when Queer Eye came out on Netflix.
That's nice.
So he's had quite a life. I wouldn't have guessed. A lot of trials and tribulations.
You wouldn't have guessed because he's such a positive, upbeat person.
He is, but oh my goodness, there was sexual abuse, there was drug abuse, there was sex work, oh my gosh, so much. There was sickness and death, and there was a lot in that 6-hour audiobook.
Did he read the audiobook?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he narrates it himself, which is fantastic.
I love that.
Yeah, but it's a fantastic read. And if you can listen to the audio, do. I always feel like anytime you're listening to the author themselves read it, it's just better.
Especially if it's like nonfiction or a memoir.
Exactly.
Positively,
exactly.
Yes.
So I just finished that about like an hour before I clocked out of work today. And it was super fantastic. So that's what I'm recommending today.
Are you riding that like I just finished this book high?
I
love that when you finish a book and you just feel like, ugh, I just have to sit with my feelings for like a day.
I know. And like, I know that a few years have like transpired since that. So I'm like, where's your second book, Johnny? Actually, They called him Jack. As a kid, they called him Jack. So cute. But yeah.
I am reading. And by reading, I mean like I just downloaded this on Audible because I finished The Good Death. I am starting A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik.
Okay, another Naomi Novik.
Oh, I love Naomi Novik. So I will read this tiny synopsis, tiny blurb, and then I will address something important.
Okay.
So the Google Books blurb says, enter a school of magic unlike any you've ever encountered. There are no teachers, no holidays, no friendships save strategic ones. Survival is more important than any letter grade, for the school won't allow its students to leave until they graduate or die.
Ooh.
It is, I have heard, it is very good, and it is kind of like, I don't know, like a thriller mixed with a Harry Potter style thing, but you know I love Naomi Novik.
Yeah.
There's been a little bit of controversy in this book because it is a very how do I put this? So she is a I believe, I don't want to talk out of turn, so I want to just double check.
Mm-hmm.
She is a white woman. And this book is, she purposely tried to make it very diverse. That is like a big part of what she tried to do with this book. That's another reason why I wanted to read it, because it is purposefully very diverse. There has been some backlash a little bit when the book came out, because basically there's the monsters that are like attacking the different people. There's a mention in here, because she's very good at world building. There's a mention about these things that come out while you sleep, and they burrow into your hair if your hair is thick, like you have dreadlocks.
Oh, no.
And they burrow into your brain. And so she called them Leech Locks, and everybody felt like the internet and people in a whole, very, I think fairly felt like that was problematic.
Yeah.
Dreadlocks already have a sort of
stigma.
Yeah. They have a stigma about being dirty and about those kinds of things. So what she did was she issued an apology, and she made it so that any audiobooks and any printings of the book after that moment would exclude that chunk.
Well, that's good.
I want to read it, even though it has other things that people feel are a little controversial, but I feel like I want to read it to see what it is. I want to form my own opinions on it. And also, I feel like anytime you have a white writer trying to write very diverse fiction, you're going to have inevitably some issues with those kinds of things, of people just like not understanding the implications of certain things.
It's one of those things where accidents will happen, but how you handle them is what's very important.
Exactly. And obviously, I'm not someone to say, like, you don't get to be, like, obviously get upset about that if, you know, that it reasonably makes sense to be upset about that.
Right.
But I don't get to say, like, don't be mad. Just get over it. Like, those kinds of things, because I'm a white woman. I don't get to tell people of color how to feel about things that upset them.
Right.
Like, if you don't want to support somebody for that thing, then don't.
Another thing is, like, we don't get to decide if what she did in response is enough.
Exactly. Yeah. But personally, for myself, I love Naomi Novik's writing. I want to give it a shot and see. I like the premise. I love her world building. So I want to give it a shot and see how I feel.
Yeah.
I think it's very different from, like, I like the fact that people were like, hey, this is problematic. And she was like, you're right, it is problematic. I'm going to make sure it gets removed. And she didn't do like J.K. Rowling, where it was like, why did you name your only Asian person 2 last names? And she was like, you don't get to tell me that's her name.
2 last names from 2 different nationalities.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see. I will let everybody know what I think of it.
And then also you turn her into a villain, but whatever.
Yeah. I will let everyone know what I think of it as I read it.
Yes.
I was thinking I should start like updating people on my social media or something. Like make a public social media for this so I can update people as I'm reading. I don't know.
Nah, I mean, we can just talk about it each episode.
That's true, but I always feel like
plenty.
Okay. That's fine. That's good. I like that.
I mean, if you want, you can also just put it in stories.
That's true. I should put it in stories.
Yeah.
Poor
Bridget has to listen to all this.
I'm sorry, Bridget. I should have told her that she could cut off. I'll text her.
You'll
and tell
let her
she
know.
can quit listening at reading and recommending.
Yeah.
Elizabeth,
Yes, Hannah.
would you like to tell people where they can find us?
Absolutely. We are Briefcase Crimes across all social media platforms. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. You can listen to full episodes anywhere that you listen to podcasts. And if you would like to support us monetarily, you can always buy us a coffee from coffee.com. That is ko-fi.com/briefcase crimes. Or you can purchase any of our book recommendations on bookshop.org. They support local bookstores by donating 75% of profits to them, and they support us through our affiliate link by giving us 10% of the profits of any books that are purchased using our shop link. That link, as well as the others, are always in the description and in our bios.
Well said, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Hannah.
Do you know if when people donate on coffee, if they can like send us a message or something in it?
I think, to be honest, hold on, let me pull it up. I haven't even logged in so long because I just didn't think anybody was using it. I didn't get like any emails that we got any donations. So.
Yeah, but I was thinking if you want to...
We do have direct messages.
Okay, because I was going to say, if you want to try to support Fawn's case,
yes,
but what you want to do is, I don't know, you don't want to buy a hoodie, you don't want to buy supplies, and you just want to donate money, you can always coffee it to us, and I will get it to Bridget.
Yes, we'll make sure it goes directly to her.
Yeah, so any money that comes in based on this episode is going to that
let me make sure. Yes. Yeah. So when you make your donation, you can put a message in. So just make sure you put in a message. You can either just put the hashtag, or you write a message, whatever you want to do. As long as Fawn is mentioned in there, we will make sure that goes to her.
Exactly. And Elizabeth.
Yes.
Would you like to wrap this up?
Yep. Thank you guys so much for listening.
And we will see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.